What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at the Open Great League once again, and the team that we're going to be taking a look at today is Pawmot, Samurott, and LEDIAN. Now, I actually don't have any of these three Pokemon. However, this was submitted to the channel by a member of the community, AIGOO I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. It might just be like IGOO RNG. I'm not totally sure, but I appreciate the submission. It's a very cool team. I'm excited to see how it works. Palmont, of course, on the lead week to ground. So we have two things that are good in the ground in the back with a bug, flyer, and a water. And then it also would struggle against like grass because that's where electric is resisted, specifically like grass ghost, grass poison. Those things would be hard. So having like kind of like a grass answer with Samurott, because you have Fury Cutter and Megahorn, and definitely a grass answer in LEDIAN in the back is pretty nice. But yeah, basically all he had to say was, "You're awesome," so thank you for this mission. No, you're awesome. He also mentioned that LEDIAN is a safe swap for this team instead of Samurott, which I thought was interesting, so we'll see how that plays out, especially considering Samurott is such a good safe swap. So and before we hop right into those battles, a special thank you to the legend trainer members on this channel, Big Burden and Andrew Pitton. Huge shout out to those guys. Let's hop into the battles. Okay, into the first match, we have kind of a core breaker on the lead. In the first match, we have a Credilli, but we do have super effective coverage in this matchup, so just going to go for the close combat right away on the CMP tie. Does the opponent respect the damage? They don't. They let that go. That one-shots the Credilli. In comes a Drapion, and here is the pivot into our safe swap of LEDIAN. LEDIAN is extremely bulky, so a Shadow Crunch from Drapion doesn't even do 50%. We are going to overfarm here, going for the Aerial Ace bait. I'm not sure about this bait. I think the opponent is inclined to let this go because you have such an energy lead, and they do. And at this point, I think you kind of just have to let this go. They called your bait, you have to let this go. They're going to outpace you. So you are going to let that go. In comes a Samurott. Can we get the full Fury Cutter farm down? Not quite. This should only be another Hydro, so we can just let this go. It is resisted damage, and you do. And back in comes the Drapion. Of course, this is their final Pokemon left because they let their Credilli get one shot on the lead. So now I'm going to connect with a Hydro Cannon. We grab that first shield, which is huge. And now the opponent's going to go for a charge movement of their own. They're at the back-to-back Aqua Tail, so I would just let this go, and you do. And in comes Pawmot. I think you could just get a 2-shield farm down here. You probably don't even need to throw any energy. I think that would be a waste of a turn, to be completely honest. They are just going to go for the Aqua Tail bait. Can they make it to 2 more Aqua Tails? It looks like the answer is no, and you are able to get the full Thundershock to farm down for the win. Great lead in the next match. We've got Pawmot into Talonflame. They're going to safe switch into a Quagsire and instantly be met with LEDIAN. The only issue here is you might have to double shield. Stone Edge is double super effective. No shielding this is risky. Yeah. Oh no. Okay, so LEDIAN is extremely bulky, but a double super effective Stone Edge from a Shadow Quagsire does indeed one shot. So definitely going to have to respect that next time. Maybe come in with your Samurott. Force them to go for the Stone Edge, which is harder hitting, and you have the outpace anyways. So we'll see how we adapt from that if we see any other safe swaps like that. But now this Talonflame has nowhere to go because you sacrificed your LEDIAN. So I don't mind that play because obviously LEDIAN has no play in Talonflame whatsoever, and it's another Mud Boy in the back. So we're just gonna go for this Hydro Cannon. I'm assuming the opponent's gonna let this go. No, they shield that. I think that's actually a huge mistake on their part because they need to be shielding the close combats from your Pawmot here instead, because I think that's gonna do way more damage than a Hydro Cannon from a Samurott. However, we will take it. They full send the Earth Power, which is huge because now I think you can overfarm to nearly back-to-back. Going to go for the close combat to pick up the knockout, and now the question is, can you outpace the Talonflame? I think you're 2 Thundershocks away, which is absolutely perfect. Able to get to the Wild Charge. This is why it's so important to run Double Nuke on Pawmot and not the recommended moveset of Brick Break, because Double Nuke is definitely the way to go. It's like the Zacian coverage, or the Zacian coverage in Master League, however you pronounce it. But into the next match, picking up another great lead, Pawmot into Mandibuzz. They safe switch into a Annihilate, and you're going to respond with LEDIAN. They could have Ice Punch here, but they are the non-Shadow Annihilate, so you are just going to let this go. It is only a Rage Fist, and you do have super effective Aerial Ace in this matchup. And end up playing to the CMP tie on accident. That's fine. Another Rage Fist will not be enough to KO, and this Aerial Ace will do a pretty significant amount of chip. It is stab on LEDIAN, but LEDIAN does not have a very strong attack stat, so yeah. And Bug Bites are double resisted here, single resisted on Ghost and Fighting, but you are able to get the full farm down, which is huge. They come back in with the Mana Buzz. Here comes a neutral Dynamic Punch. This is the better damage per energy move, so I like going for that here, especially because the opponent is going to be forced to throw energy. LEDIAN is so bulky, you're able to make it to another Dynamic Punch, and this Dynamic Punch will do some pretty significant chip. And plus the Bug Bites, we've already got this Mana Buzz deep into the red health range. They're still forced to throw their energy. That is absolutely insane. And now you just come in with Palmont. You soak up energy. No. I don't know why we're coming in here. Aerial Ace and Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse is resisted, first of all, on Palmont, and Aerial Ace is only neutral. So I think you just get the full farm down with the Palmont there, come out loaded with energy, don't need to shield anything, and then you're in a great position in the end game. And if you had, you would have had Samurott on Lapras, which would have been a decent matchup, and you would have had the energy coming out of the matchup from the Palmont. So I think that would have been an instant win regardless. I think you still should be able to outpace to back-to-back moves here, because this is only their first move, and it takes about 5 fast moves to get to the charge move. So yeah, you just shield this up. You're at the back-to-back wild charge or close combat, either one. They're mirror clones of each other move-wise, and both are super effective here. You're going to choose to go for the wild charge. Doesn't matter. One wild charge picks up the knockout. The opponent knows you have 2, so they let that go, and you are able to take the win. Okay, into the next match, we've got, let's see, Palmont into Altaria. Neutral enough lead. I think you have to just stay in this matchup and farm up to the back-to-back wild charges, and then just pivot, because you don't have a good answer to Altaria. If they let this go, though, I would double wild charge. Yep. I like this play because this either forces the opponent to use it. They're just going to let that go. That is so interesting. In comes an Abomasnow. You pivot into your Samurott here. To be honest, I would have, I don't know, you might not have made it to, yeah, you probably wouldn't have actually. So maybe this is an okay pivot because you're in a pretty much neutral matchup either way. And Samurott, even though it would have had a very dominant matchup, would have had to respect energy balls. And what's in the back? It is a Poliwrath. So the opponent has not updated their team in a few seasons. That's fine. These counters are double resisted on the single resisted on Bug, single resisted on Flying, and you're going to get to so many Aerial Aces here. Grab some shields. Sure, they're going to come out loaded with energy, but where does that energy go, especially when it's walled on Samurott? So yes, I like this play. Come in with Samurott, soak up all this energy. I don't know why we're shielding here. At worst, it's a Dynamic Punch, and you would be able to make it to a charge move on Palmont, I think. So yeah, end up shielding. You're going to double shield, potentially 2 Icy Winds. Yeah, very interesting. And your charge moves are walled, so you need to reset this. Going for the catch, that ends up getting them to a charge move. Can you pick up the knockout with the Hydro Cannon here is the question. If this is enough to KO, then this is a win, and it is. So, bit of an odd end game there, but you are able to take the win. Okay, into the next matchup, we have Palmont into Steelix. This is an interesting lead, actually. I was going to say it's a bad lead because you're an electric into a ground, but it's really not. Yes, they have super effective Psychic Fangs, but you have super effective close combat, and their fast move is also resisted here. So, going to full send the close combat, that does massive damage. They end up throwing on the CMP tie with when you get to the back-to-back, which is a really good understanding of charge move timing from your opponent. You're now going to be able to outpace, make it to the close combat. You will grab a shield back, but here comes another Psychic Fangs, and yeah, I think you just soft lose the ones here and get an energy lead on something in the back. I think that is the right play. It depends on what you want energy on. You decide it's the LEDIAN. You're going to take less damage from those Thunder Fangs because LEDIAN is just bulkier. And in comes a Grumpig, so your opponent potentially core broken by bugged fast moves in the back. So that's absolutely huge because you know Samurott will have play. I would potentially check for a weakness in the back to just LEDIAN in general. They are going to connect with a Another Shadow Ball. Can you get the full farm down? It looks like not quite. Is this... I think a Dynamic Punch, it's double resisted, might not knock out here. Yeah, it doesn't. LEDIAN is so bulky, and it kind of was a double weakness to LEDIAN, but they do have a bug weakness, so this is fine. Grabbing that final shield. In comes the Samurott. You know you can shield one charge move and make it to the Hydro. They had to make it to back-to-back, which is why the opponent was over-farming there. And a Hydro from this range will pick up the knockout on the Morpeko, and you are able to take that win. Okay, into the next match, we have... what's it going to be? Palmot into Scizor. Shadow Scizor at that. And this Shadow Scizor is actually on Fury Cutter. So both fast moves would be resisted here, just because Fury Cutter is resisted on fighting, whereas Bullet Punch is resisted on electric. So you have the typing benefit there. Honestly, the typing on Palmot is very interesting and unique, and it walls a lot of very interesting movesets. So I do appreciate its typing. And of course, they can't go for Night Slash because that's resisted. So they have to go for Trailblaze, which means you actually outpace in this matchup. And you're going to stay in and force them to throw their energy. Honestly, they probably could have fully farmed you down. So that was kind of a risky stay in. They end up just getting the knockout with a Night Slash. In comes the LEDIAN. LEDIAN is going to take quite a bit of damage from this Night Slash spam. But you kind of just have to let this go. You don't really have a good way of farming this Scizor down. They will make it to another. No, they're not, I guess. And in comes a Feraligatr. You are going to connect with a Dynamic Punch here, and then I would try and go for a Hydro Cannon catch onto your Samurott. No, you're just going to pivot, letting them bank all of that energy, and in comes an Azumarill. And yeah, this matchup, it's going to be very tough to get the win out of, because even if Samurott is able to put up a decent matchup here, LEDIAN just doesn't have any play because you can't Bug Bite farm them down. Play Rough connects. You can probably make it to maybe 3 more Hydras here if they commit to the bubble down, and if not, then only 2. And it looks like that's probably what's going to happen. You're going to get to 2. They're going to throw the Ice Beam to pick up the knockout, and then it's just about whether you can outpace whether they can outpace the 2 charge moves before you are able to pick up the knockout on there for Alligator. And it looks like it's going to be close. They might be at the back-to-back here, so yeah, you're going to shield this up, but I believe they're at the back-to-back. No, they're just short, and that actually is huge for you because I believe they were literally like 2 Shadow Claws away from back-to-back, so you are able to pick up the knockout with the Aerial Ace, get the resisted Bug Bite farm down on the Azumarill, and somehow with a tricky endgame there, you are able to take the win. Into next match, we've got a Machamp on the lead, and this Machamp, I believe, is running counter. You're going to save switch in your Ledian, and this is actually nice where you bait out a Corviknight. They see the bug flying, they're like, no chance this has any play into a Corviknight, which is a Steel Flyer. We actually have Dynamic Punch for coverage, which is a 2 damage per energy move, and a very solid move at that. Of course, they do have super effective Sky Attack, super effective on the bug typing of Ledian. So here comes another Dynamic Punch. This won't be able to pick up the knockout, so your opponent could just let this go because you have no way of farming them down because Bug Bites are double resisted here. Single resisted on Seal and single resisted on Flying. However, your opponent makes a counting error. They overfarm too much. They end up banking all that energy, pivoting into a Dugong. And now Dugong is going to be met with a Palmot up energy. So here comes one Wild Charge. Can you outpace to the second Wild Charge? The answer is no. Do you commit the shield? I think this is the right play. Get off this second Wild Charge because this will do some pretty solid chip. I'm sorry, did your opponent just go for a Liquidation? That's insane. The newly built Dugong from the previous event where Seal was spawning. But now this is a tricky matchup because this Machamp has energy. So I think waiting this timer is good. I probably would have gone for the catch when they went for it there because that was when they probably got to the back-to-back cross chops. Or maybe they were one short and you get that catch absolutely perfect. The Soul Read catch onto Ledian. Cross up, picks up the knockout. I would pick up the knockout with this Hydro as soon as possible, and you do. You're lucky the opponent doesn't go for a catch. I believe they have energy on their Corviknight as well. So yeah, in comes the Corviknight. They have energy, but I believe they only have enough for 1 charge move. It's going to be close though, because can you get the, yeah, they were close to another because they banked nearly back to back, and unfortunately you are going to lose that end game. Okay, into the next match we have Palmot into, what's it going to be? For Alligator. This is a good lead because you win CMP and you pace the exact same. But in comes an Acid Cordilli. I would have overfarmed a little bit more here. Just gone for the close comp. Oh boy, the opponent lets that go. So they were very, very core broken. I like the catch attempt on your Samurott. I think that was a very nice play. Banking all of that energy, resetting the debuff. You know, one Hydro doesn't KO here. End up throwing the second Hydro, which I believe was on the CMP tie with their second Hydro as well. If they commit the shield, that's huge, and that is because, so you just let this go. You get an energy lead, maybe on LEDIAN. And yep, I like this play, and it's a Marowak in the back, so yeah, this game is over. Well and truly cooked. Going for the bait here. They have one shield. I don't know about going for the bait here. You do grab it, but you have a charge move loaded, so you're now going to pick up the knockout with this close combat, which is huge. They, of course, will get the farm down, but you have two shields, and those Thunder Shocks do meaningful damage. Yeah, just too many bug bite damage right there in the end game for the opponent to win. Into the next match, we have Palmont into Greninja. This is a fantastic lead where Night Slash is resisted and Hydro is only neutral. You end up pivoting first out of that matchup. I would have probably stayed in and played it out a little bit. But the opponent actually pivots at the exact same time. They end up coming in with a Clodsire. And Clodsire, oh, excuse me, could have access to Stone Edge, but you call the bait. It is just the Sludge Bomb, which is huge because Stone Edge, we've seen from the Shadow Quagsire, at least one shots. Probably wouldn't one shot from the Clod, but it would do huge damage. It's clear that this opponent is lagging quite a bit just based on their fast move animations and how long it's taking for these charge moves to register, but it is the battle of the anyways, yeah, they pivot into an Armarouge. My brain completely blank after that. They come in Armor Rouge, you pivot into your Samurott, and they're actually going to outpace. Psyshock is only 2 Incinerates to get through this season, similar pacing of like Typhlosion to the Thunder Punch. You will be able to outpace here, make it to the back-to-back Hydros, and they have a double weakness to water, so saving Samurott makes sense here. Now we're going to go for the second. I would pivot and save your Samurott if I was you. Actually, no, they have the Greninja, right? Yeah, as well. So, I mean, Samurott is really useful here. Just kind of save it if they come back in with the Clod. Ooh, you are going to let them get to a Night Slash, which is a little unfortunate. I would have probably gone for a catch on my Palmont there, but still able to make it to another Hydro. These Fury Cutter is doing some meaningful damage, and you are able to grab that final shield. I like letting your set get KO'd there because you need the LEDIAN for a catch, but instead you actually make a different play. You come in with your LEDIAN, which has energy, you pick up the knockout with the Aerial Ace, and now in comes Palmont to a Clodsire, and you're going for the move right away, maybe not aware of where their energy is at, but that actually picks up the knockout on the Clodsire. That is resisted, and Clodsire is bulky. I am very surprised that was able to pick up the knockout. Tough lead in the next match. We've got our Palmont into Dedenne. Are you just going to go for the Wild Charge and dip here is the question. And the answer is yes. Going to go for a catch here? No, you're going to stay in this matchup. I guess you are kind of core broken because you have 2 Pokemon weak to electric in the back, so letting that go, playing out the zeros. I actually like this play quite a bit. Had they gone for a play rough, which would have been the right move, they would have come out of that matchup loaded with energy and wouldn't have had to give up a shield. But to each their own. Now you have to take a Parabolic Charge on the LEDIAN, and LEDIAN Bug Bites are resisted here. This Dedenne is just boosting its defense over and over, and this thing is going to be incredibly hard to get rid of. Can you get the Bug Bite farm done? You can, but this Dedenne has run through 1.5 Pokemon on your team. In comes a Dugong. You are able to make it to a Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch does grab the shield, and what is in the back but a Marowak, and you're actually going to overfarm here. I can understand this overfarm, giving them the shield in order to exchange some energy, going for 3 more, actually throwing 1 on 1 instead of 2 so that you don't take that actual Mud Slap of damage, which is a really nice play. Lagging a little bit there, but now able to get to the Mega Horn. This will do some very solid chip to the Dugong, but it's only going to put it at about 50% HP, and you just have to be kind of worried that they don't make it to back-to-back moves. Your opponent is holding on to their energy, which is probably the right play. You probably should have farmed up to the Mega Horn to force them to throw their energy, because otherwise, yeah, they're going to outpace you now to 2 moves. And the only way you force them to throw their energy is by not throwing yours. So unfortunately, you are going to lose that endgame, but a very close matchup there. Into next match, we've got, let's see, Palmot into, what's it going to be this time? Is it another Core Breaker? No, it's a Drapion on the lead. I like this matchup because Drapion is forced to go Aqua Tail. So what I think you do in this matchup is you overfarm, you take 1 Aqua Tail, especially from the non-shadow, and then you throw the second, your nuke move, on this CMP tie with their second. And I think your opponent realized that, and they get the catch of the close combat where it is double resisted on the Trevenant. I think you threw 1 too early. However, that connects. It actually does some okay chip. Trevenant's pretty glassy, and Palmot hits like a truck. So fair enough. They are able to make it to the Shadow Ball. Can you get the full Bug Bite farm down? The answer is yes. Are they going to come back in with their lead, or are they going to take this energy and show us the back? They're going to show us the back Pokemon. It's an Azumarill, and Azumarill will be met with an onslaught of Aerial Aces coming their way. Here comes the first Aerial Ace. That does absolutely nothing to the Azumarill, but here comes a second Aerial Ace right away. And I wouldn't mind seeing a pivot into Samurott here. You are going to stay in and let them get the full bubble farm down, but not without making it to another Aerial Ace. This will do some solid chip, plus the Bug Bites. We actually have this Azumarill into the red health range because they've tried to just get the full bubble farm down. Of course, they are at 100 energy here, but they do not throw it. Throw it in close combat because you know they're going to shield this or try and go for a catch. I mean, Wild Charge is neutral on the Drapion either way, but you are able to get an Aqua Tail catch onto your Samurott. That is absolutely huge. Just soaking that damage where it is resisted. And now you have a pacing similarity in this matchup because Crunch takes 10 turns to get to, and Hydro Cannon also takes 10 turns. So your opponent actually lets that go, and now they're going to try and run with Azumarill. I think your opponent probably should have shielded that and gone for the bait of the Aqua Tail into the Crunch, but they're giving you potential win cons in this matchup. Unsure if you can get to the back-to-back moves before you're able to just get the full Fury Cutter farm down, so I like this play. Just going for the full Fury Cutter farm down, and you are able to take that win. Okay, into the final match of the video, we have Palmot into Talonflame. So a great lead once again. The opponent is staying into, so clearly core broken. They end up going for a catch of a Wild Charge onto their Sandslash, only to be met with a double super effective close combat. The opponent shields that, and here comes another close combat their way. Yeah, you don't really need this Palmot because you have Samurott as well. They let that go. Yeah, you surely just stay in so that you can align your Samurott. This was very well played by you, grabbing a shield and winning switch. Of course, they're going to have an energy advantage here, but you end up throwing on alignment, and that actually comes in clutch because the opponent throws right away, and that ends up being a CMP tie. Had the opponent ended up going for an extra Incinerate there, you would be absolutely screwed. They end up baiting you with a Flame Charge, which is a little bit unfortunate because now they definitely outpace you here. And they're going to grab 2 shields, full setting the Brave Bird. What's that Pokemon in the back? It's a Dugong, and you blind switch, which is really unfortunate. And because of that, they're able to outpace by 1 singular turn because they get 0 turn switch and you get 1 turn switch. Actually, I'm sorry, was that a CMP tie? That's confusing. You shouldn't have gotten actually it was a CMP tie, wasn't it, with that? Oh no, they outpaced the second move. No, it wasn't. So I don't know how you got 0 turn switch, but either way, this forces them to throw their energy, and it actually does put them in Hydro range. So I think you just farm up to nearly back-to-back Hydros. You're not really threatened by any charge move here, so honestly I would have taken a charge move and made sure I came out with the Hydro loaded because I'm not really sure where their energy is at on the Talonflame, but I guess they are 1 away. I guess they did just full send a Brave Bird after flame charging, so yeah, they're pretty much energy dry. Hydro Cannon will pick up the knockout, and you are able to take the win. Yeah, so here's a showcase of 3 Pokemon that I am probably not going to ever showcase of my own on this channel. I just didn't really feel the need to build a Palmot. It feels underwhelming to me. I think its typing is really cool. If it had better bulk, or I mean, it's got good charge moves and a good fast move now. It has potential. I think it'll really shine in limited cups. Samurott is just the Feraligatr of the current season. I think Feraligatr still has a load of play, but Samurott does a very similar job, and it's a mono water type. Great pacing, 1-turn fast move. It's non-stab just like for Alligator, but you can run the Shadow or the non-Shadow. People often opt for the non-Shadow because it's already glassier and hits a little bit harder than for Alligator. And then LEDIAN in the back, which is just an absolute tank, and you kind of need it on a team like this when you have so much glass on the lead and the switch, or not the switch, I guess LEDIAN is your switch here, but LEDIAN, really poor typing, but really cool charge moves. If this thing ever got a better fast move, it got a counter a season too late, and then Bug Bite, which is okay now. It's a Dragon Breath clone, but it just doesn't get to these charge moves fast enough, and set like 14 turns to an Aerial Ace, which is underwhelming, and Dynamic Punch, which is 15 turns, like, and there's not much variance between them. Like, it's just, I don't know, this Pokemon would probably benefit from a 35 energy move. Like, I don't know if it learns Air Cutter in the main series, but I think that would be a cool move for this Pokemon. And then maybe just a better fast move. I don't know. Infestation, if it learns that, who knows. Fury Cutter would be insane. I think it would probably be broken with Fury Cutter, but its typing kind of holds it back, you know, even though it has its bulk. But yeah, that's enough rambling for me. Appreciate you all for watching, and until next time, peace.